After Iranian ballistic missiles struck a United States forward operating base in the Gulf region, killing 43 American service members and wounding over 100 more, the president authorized a full-scale retaliatory operation. No limited response. No proportional strike. Complete destruction of Iran's military capability. Every branch received the execution order within minutes. The largest American combat deployment since the invasion of Iraq was underway. At Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana, the alert klaxon hit the B-52 bomber wing at 0200 hours. Flight crews rolled out of bunks already in flight suits. Boots on. Helmets grabbed. They ran for crew transport vehicles heading toward the flight line, where 12 B-52H Stratofortress bombers sat in alert revetments, fully fueled and loaded. The B-52H was the oldest operational bomber in the inventory and still the most feared. 8 Pratt and Whitney TF-33 turbofans and 4 twin pods beneath swept wings. 70,000 pounds of ordnance capacity, 16-hour missions without refueling, days in the air with tanker support. Tonight, every B-52 was loaded to maximum combat capacity. 6 aircraft carried AM-86C conventional air-launched cruise missiles on external wing pylons, 12 missiles per aircraft. Each Calcum carried a 2,000-pound warhead and could launch from over 600 miles away, striking without the bomber entering Iranian airspace. The other 6 carried Gibu 31 JDAM 2,000-pound GPs, guided bombs internally, and Gibu 38 500-pound JDAMs on wing pylons. A single B-52 could destroy an entire military complex in one pass. The first crew reached their aircraft. The aircraft commander climbed the entry ladder into the cockpit. Co-pilot took the right seat. Navigator and radar navigator took positions on the lower deck. The electronic warfare officer powered up the AN-ALC 172 countermeasures system. Ground crew chief ran through the exterior inspection on intercom. Landing gear. Tires. Intakes clear. Pylons secure. Crew's missile connections verified. Aircraft cleared for engine start. Engine start. Number 3 first. Inboard left. The cartridge start fired and the turbofan spooled up. Then 4, 2, 1. Right side followed. 5, 6, 7, 8. All 8 running. A deep sustained roar vibrating through concrete, audible for miles. Black exhaust smoke cleared as turbines stabilized. The crew ran pre-flight. Flight instruments checked. Navigation aligned. Bombing computer loaded with target coordinates. Radar tested. Electronic warfare confirmed. Communications established. One by one, all 12 B-52s reported ready. The first B-52 took the runway. 8 throttles to full military power. The 280,000-pound bomber began rolling, heavy and slow, then accelerating down 11,000 feet of concrete. At rotation speed, the nose lifted, main gear left the ground, the bomber climbed into darkness. 60 seconds later, the second was rolling. Launches continued at 1-minute intervals. Within 15 minutes, all 12 were airborne, forming 3-4 ship cells heading east. The formation stretched 40 miles across the sky, 12 bombers carrying enough ordnance to level a small country. Over the Atlantic, KC-135 Stratotankers orbited on refueling tracks at 28,000 feet. The B-52s approached from below. Boom operators guided telescoping booms into receptacles behind each cockpit. Each bomber took over 100,000 pounds of JP-8, 30 minutes per aircraft. The tankers would reposition for a second contact before the launch zone. While the bombers crossed the ocean, the ground component was moving. At Fort Liberty in North Carolina, the 82nd Airborne Division activated for immediate deployment. 5,000 paratroopers assembled, equipped, and transported to departure airfields. Soldiers pulled from barracks and homes in the middle of the night. Every phone rang. Report to your unit immediately. Full combat equipment. Soldiers drew weapons from arms rooms. M4A1 carbines, M249 squad automatic weapons, M240B machine guns, Javelin anti-tank missiles, M224 and M252 mortars. Every weapon function checked on the spot. Ammunition drawn from supply points. Cases of 5.56, 7.62, .50 caliber, 40 millimeter grenades, mortar rounds, fragmentation and smoke grenades. Magazines loaded. Belts linked, everything counted and documented. Rucksacks packed with field gear, MREs, water purification, spare clothing, sleeping systems, first aid kits with tourniquets, batteries for radios and night vision, maps and compasses. Each rucksack 60 to 80 pounds. Add body armor with ceramic plates, helmet, weapon, and ammunition. Each soldier carried over 100 pounds. At Pope Army Airfield, C-17 Globemaster IIIs began arriving from across the country. Rear cargo ramps lowered before engines spooled down. M1167, armored HMMWVs with tow launchers drove up the ramps and were chained to cargo bay floors. M119A3 towed howitzers rolled in behind. Pallets of 105mm shells loaded alongside. Paratroopers assembled in company formations at the staging area. They sat on rucksacks in long rows, weapons across laps, waiting. Officers walked the lines conducting final inspections. ID tags checked, blood type confirmed, night vision mounted and tested, radio frequencies verified. Every soldier confirmed ready. The first 5 C-17s loaded simultaneously. Soldiers marched to aircraft, climbed ramps, took seats alongside vehicles and cargo. Head counts verified. Cargo tie-downs secured, ramps closed. Aircraft taxied and took off heading east. 5 more C-17s were already loading behind them. Continuous airlift over 48 hours would deliver the entire force. At the forward staging base in the Middle East, ground guides waited with light wands. Forklifts staged along the taxiway. C-17s landed, ramps dropped, soldiers filed out, vehicles unchained and driven off, cargo pallets pulled by forklifts. Empty C-17s refueled and took off heading back for the next load. Artillery batteries set up first. M119A3 howitzers towed to pre-surveyed positions, trails spread, guns dug in, ammunition stacked in covered pits. Fire direction centers established with comms to maneuver units. Within 2 hours, the artillery was ready to fire. Anti-tank teams positioned Javelin launchers along the perimeter. Each team carried 3 missiles. The Javelin's infrared seeker locked targets at over 2 miles, using top attack profile to dive onto thin roof armor with a tandem warhead that could defeat any known tank. 12,000 miles behind the front, the 12 B-52s completed their second aerial refueling and approached the launch zone over the eastern Mediterranean. 14 hours airborne. Target packages updated with latest intelligence via satellite data link. Some targets had moved, bombing computers reprogrammed in flight. Electronic warfare officers monitored the spectrum for Iranian radar emissions. The Western Sector Air Defense Network had been largely destroyed by earlier strikes, but deeper inside Iran, systems remained active. The B-52s would stay outside those ranges, launching cruise missiles from 500 miles out. The formation commander transmitted the execute order. All 12 acknowledged. Weapons bay doors opened on the 6 cruise missile bombers. External pylons armed. Target coordinates confirmed on every missile. 144 AM-86C cruise missiles ready to fire. The first bomber released. A Calcum dropped from the wing pylon, fell for 2 seconds, turbofan ignited, wings deployed, and the missile surged forward at low altitude toward the Iranian coastline, 600 miles east. 6 seconds later, the next missile launched. Then, the rotary launcher cycled. 12 missiles ripple fired in under 3 minutes. Each departed on a different heading toward a different target. Behind the first bomber, the second fired. Then the third. All 6 cruise missile bombers emptied their loads. 144 cruise missiles airborne simultaneously, spreading across a 200-mile front, each navigating independently toward its target deep inside Iran. The targets were strategic. Military airfields with fighters and hardened bunkers, Revolutionary Guard headquarters in Tehran, ballistic missile production facilities in mountain complexes, naval shipyards, ammunition factories, military fuel refineries, communication switching centers, air defense radar plants, drone manufacturing facilities, every critical node in Iran's war-fighting capability. The missiles flew at 500 miles per hour, hugging terrain, following valleys and ridgelines below radar. GPS cross-checked against terrain contour matching radar for pinpoint accuracy even under jamming. As each missile approached its target, it climbed slightly, then plunged downward. 2,000-pound warhead detonating on impact. The first hits struck Mehrabad military airfield near Tehran. 3 missiles within seconds. Runway cratered at the intersection. Hardened shelters collapsed onto fighters inside. Operations building and control tower destroyed in a fireball. Across Iran, the pattern repeated. Bandar Abbas Naval Shipyard took 6 hits. Dry docks collapsed. Ship hulls split open. Cranes toppled. Parchin Missile Complex hit by 8 missiles. Assembly halls, propellant plants, test facilities destroyed. Revolutionary Guard headquarters compound took 4 direct hits in a 12-second window. The 6 JDAM-armed B-52s continued east toward Iranian airspace. 4 F15C Eagles launched from Al Dhafra to establish a fighter screen ahead of the bombers. Each Eagle carried 8 AIM 120D AMRAAM and 2 AIM 9X Sidewinder missiles. E-18G Growlers took position on the flanks with ALK-99 jamming pods, blinding Iranian radars across multiple frequency bands. A wall of electronic noise drowned out search radars, fire control systems, and communications. The JDAM bombers crossed into Iranian airspace at 38,000 feet. Fires from cruise missile strikes dotted the landscape below. Radar navigators activated synthetic aperture radar and mapped target complexes. GP's coordinates confirmed. The first cell targeted an underground weapons storage facility built into a mountainside. The lead B-52 opened bomb bay doors. 20 GBU-31 2,000-pound JDAMs released in sequence, each acquiring GPs and adjusting fins during 38,000-foot fall. Each bomb tracked to a different aim point. Tunnel entrances. Ventilation shafts. Support buildings. Impacts struck tunnel entrances first. 2,000-pound warheads shattered, reinforced concrete blast doors inward. Follow-on bombs penetrated deeper before detonating. The mountain shook. Dust erupted from every crack. Ventilation shafts collapsed. Support buildings disintegrated. The complex was sealed and destroyed. The second cell hit a Revolutionary Guard ground forces base. 60 JDAMs fell in concentrated pattern. Vehicle parks erupted as bombs struck tanks and revetments. Artillery positions cratered. Barracks leveled. Ammunition bunkers detonated in massive secondary explosions. Nothing survived. At the forward base, the buildup continued around the clock. C-17s landing every 45 minutes. The 5,000-soldier force over 60% on ground. Ah-64E Apaches arrived aboard C-5M Super Galaxy transports, disassembled. Maintenance teams reassembled them continuously. Rotor blades attached. Tail sections connected. Avionics tested. Hellfire missiles and rocket pods loaded. Each Apache combat ready within 6 hours. 60M Blackhawks assembled alongside. Door gunners mounted M240H machine guns. Ammunition stacked. Helicopters fueled and parked on the ready line. The division commander established his tactical operations center monitoring bomber strikes in real time. Damage assessments streaming in. Iranian air defenses destroyed. Airfields unusable. Command networks fragmented. Armored formations hit in staging areas. The general reviewed the next phase. Once the air campaign reduced Iranian capability, ground forces would begin offensive operations. Paratroopers conducting airborne assaults. Helicopter infantry seizing critical infrastructure. Artillery providing fire support. Apaches delivering close air support and deep strikes against enemy armor. The force designed to move fast, strike hard, overwhelm any remaining resistance. At Central Command, the commanding general reviewed the summary. 12 B-52s had launched 144 cruise missiles and dropped 120 precision bombs. 5,000 82nd Airborne soldiers deploying to the forward base, fighter escorts clearing skies, electronic warfare blinding surviving radars, ground forces building combat power. 83 targets remained on the Phase 2 list. More bomber sorties planned, more fighter strikes scheduled, more cruise missiles authorized from submarines and ships. The operation would not stop until complete. He turned to his operations officer. Single command. Continue the attack. No pause, no stop, until every target is destroyed.